In this video, I thought I was going to be telling you about how to rewire a hub motor for an e-bike, because yesterday I bought this e-bike for just $25 off Facebook Marketplace. This is an Amazon special. What's the brand? Ancheer. Normally it's about only $250, but the ad said, bike does not work, don't know what the problem is, bike does not work. And the guy said that he doesn't know much about bikes, and this was his son's bike. He changed the tire, and while changing the tire, he hit something right around here, around where the wiring goes into the hub motor, and it doesn't work ever since then. So I thought, okay, good. This is something maybe I can fix. Maybe it's just some wiring or whatever. Not such a big deal. Let me bring you in and show you actually what the problem was. So if we turn the controller on, and wait a second, we get E07 error. So he was right. You know, the bike does not work, throttle doesn't work, nothing happens, nothing works, right? So I started looking in the area that he mentioned. Now this little rubber part was kind of pulled down here, but you know, nothing looked horribly messed up. The spring was kind of, there's a little spring that's supposed to protect the cable. That was a little bit bunched up, looked a little weird. I noticed that the cable wasn't attached to the chainstay anymore like it should be. And then I started looking at this and I just noticed that those arrows weren't lined up. There's an arrow there and there's an arrow there. So I pulled it off and I was like, oh, that didn't seem like it was plugged in right. So I made the arrows match. Gave it a good plug, good hard push. Now it's completely plugged in. Back up at the controls, turn it on. Wait a second. Right, no error now. Wow, so it was that easy. The plug wasn't plugged in right. That was the only thing wrong with the bike. Actually, with this model, you need to, after you turn it on, I've learned that you need to tell it you want an assist level. It doesn't by default give you an assist level, so I'll just give it 3. Try the throttle. Pedal assist. So that was it. It's working now. That was way too easy. Of course, I need to get a zip tie this cable back to the chainstay so it's not hitting the crank or anything. There's a couple other things that need to be done with the bike. The guy told me, like I said, it was for his son, and you know, you can tell it doesn't have many miles. It's 272 miles, but it's a little kind of screwed up. You know how kids are with things. So I'm gonna go through it and try to fix a few things. The biggest problem we have is definitely the front wheel. So I don't know what's going on there. That might not even be really repairable in terms of the bearings. They could have actually worn the cup and cone out so much, because I've actually never seen one that loose before, and it's not the skewer. I already checked that. It's actually something in the bearings that are, there's no bearings maybe, I don't know. Anyway, let's go ahead and take this wheel off and see what's going on. So yeah, something's definitely very wrong here. Maybe if I'm really lucky, I can just tighten everything down. Now, if that doesn't work, I do have another 26 disc brake rim I could use, but so as I'm looking at this, I'm starting to get a clue as to what might be going on. Just look at this nut here. Look how mauled it is. Looks terrible. So I have a feeling somebody's worked on this already and probably incorrectly serviced the bearings, because something's missing, or like there's something wrong here. I don't know what it is, so I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble the whole entire axle and the bearings, and we're gonna see if we can salvage this thing and get it back going. And this is that, oh my gosh, I'm seeing metallic stuff. That's a very bad sign. That other part was the lock nut. Usually there's like a washer between those two, so that's one thing. Yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Take the cone out, now this whole axle should come out. Some of the ball bearings are falling out the other side, that's fine. Another nice thing about this big table is I'm not gonna lose any of the ball bearings. There's our axle. Look at these threads. They're like smashed. I don't know if this is gonna be salvageable or not. One other thing I wanted to point out about this controller is that it seems like it's pretty locked down. I looked on some websites and watched some videos where you can go into the settings by pressing these two buttons for a couple of seconds, holding them down. And then you get into the settings area, and here you can go through different parameters basically and adjust them. So like the P0 one, this is, oh, the screen brightness. P2 is metric and imperial units. I don't remember what P1 or P16 is, P16, but it's nothing that useful. So there should be like, I don't know, like let's say 20 parameters, but this only has 3 of them available to me. I don't know how to change that. From what I've seen, that's based on the controller. Maybe there's some switches on it, you know, hidden switches on the board that you can do, but from what I'm seeing, there's not a lot you can do to adjust that, unfortunately. If anybody does know any way to unlock all the parameters on this, that would be awesome, because then you can do a lot more interesting things. Okay, and right here you can actually see what's going on. You can see that it's trying to shift up to the next cog. We need to get some tension off of the system, off of the cable, so that it allows it to fall all the way down. The only thing is I actually already did take all the tension off, and it's still trying to click, 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 jump up to the next one. So what that tells me is likely the lower limit screw is not letting it come all the way down. So let's go ahead and fix that. This is a very common problem. So I'm letting this bottom one out a little bit. I believe that's the right one that's preventing the derailleur from having the chain all the way over. Still trying to jump. See that? Was it the wrong one? Let's try that one. There we go. It was the top one. I had it wrong. So now it's stopped. Stopped trying to jump because it has the derailleur is allowed to come over a little bit further. That was all it was. Kind of a strange shifter. So this is your shift up. So there's your grip right there, and then this is your shifting up. Doesn't feel great. And then it doesn't spring back either. As you can see, I'm pushing it farther and farther. And then this is it releases it back down to the smaller cog. Kind of a weird system. The front one over here is actually a friction shift. It has little clicks, but essentially it's friction. You just kind of set this wherever it needs to be, which makes, especially for the front derailleur, gives you a really easy time getting it where it needs to be. So that's pretty much all we've done with this Ancheer bike. So the biggest thing is I put a new wheel on it. I don't know what I said in the other part of the video, but that wheel is giving me a super hard time, so I just gave up on it. I happen to have a 26 disc wheel, so I just tossed that on, made it really easy. It's probably a little better than the original. It's a lighter weight, but it'll do the job. Adjusted the controls, you know, the brakes were always, as always on these, you know, more or less department store bikes, the brakes were like straight up, so I rotated them down. I lined up the handlebars, they were a little bit crooked. The saddle was like pointed way up. Yeah, of course the biggest thing is this guy was just unplugged, so plugged that in. Just now finished fixing that derailleur clicking. And yeah, I think the bike is actually good to go now. I have rode it around the block a few times just to test things out and whatnot. And the biggest thing right away I'm noticing that's not too good are the brakes. They're really not stopping too good. So maybe some better pads might help that. But I think the next thing you'll see on this channel, I'll be doing some rides probably to the grocery store with the bike, and I'll let you know how it goes. Maybe after a month I'll do a whole update kind of review on it, and I'm also thinking maybe I'll do some modifications to it. So stay tuned if you want to watch more videos on this bike and see where I go with it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.